Hey everyone! So there's breaking news with the Dallas Cowboys, and Scott Linehan has just been fired. So hoping to get Mark Holmes on, have a little chat with him, and find out exactly what's going on. Hey Cowboy X Factor, how are you? Hi Nick, hi Eddie, hi Campervan Man, hi Dennis. Right, well we're having trouble getting him on. How's everyone been? He's no, I won't remind him that. It's my team too. You can't say that. Hi, Gilberto. Hi, Ricky. So, did you hear the breaking news about Scott? And who's happy? I'm just going to try something else. I know. You feel like we've just won. Hey, Mark, what's the trouble? I've sent you an invite to the Hangouts? Muth, oh, you're happy. Yeah, can you believe it? Ramblings. Yeah, they did. A lot of people question that, Gilberto. So, who is going to step in, do you think? Way too predictable. Yeah, because we've got such a young team. It's we need fresh minds, I think. Debauchery get Dallas. Yeah, I mean, I'm not happy about anyone losing their job, but I don't think he'll be sleeping in the streets, will he? I'm struggling to get Mark on. Someone's trench coat. Hey, how are you? You're glad he's gone. I know. Hopla. Hire a new coach and put Garrett at OC. Hey, JP Slayer, how are you? I think my voice isn't completely back yet. Jeremy, you're celebrating. They can use their offence like the monster they can be. Exactly. They've been a bit wasted, haven't they? Really good, thank you. I'm great, but I'm struggling. I'm struggling to get Mark on with Hangouts. Nick, I'm getting better, but the flu, it really killed me for about a week. That's why I've been a bit quiet. James, the good old Texas beat. So who makes the decisions? That's what I want to know. He didn't do the right thing, and this is what happens. That's right, Gregory. Yeah, you can't. He must be getting paid a lot of money. You can't keep getting paid that much money if you're not delivering. Party at Katie's house. Yeah, we'll fly to the UK. Jerry Jones does. All right, just give me a minute. I need to send this link. Sorry, everyone. I'm just trying to sort out this problem. Hi, Clips Ring. How are you? Jerry Jones owns the team and does what he wants with them. JR Smooth should be gone. Also, you want him gone too? I'm excited. I think something needed to change, didn't it? Because we've obviously got all the potential. Wolverine Scratch. Oh, hi. How are you? You're on your way out. You're getting on Jerry Jones, Sean. Sorry about that, knocking the table. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit better. But every time I talk too much, it starts to go again. Random things. Hi, how are you? Oh, that's sweet. You did say you'd be on my next live. Big hi. This is a celebration for sure. Mark, I've sent it twice now. So I've sent the link through Messenger. If you can check that. Hey, Gemma. Oh, thanks, Gabriel. Buddy Johnson, finally the vanilla play calling is gone. Yeah, I had the flu. It was terrible. Yeah, I lost my voice. Not good for my channel. Thank you. No, I'm a lot better now. Yeah, so much better. But I'm trying to get Mark on because I want to chat to him, but he's doesn't seem to be working. Right, I'll try once more. Oh, sorry, I missed your messages.
Do you have me now?
At last. Oh my word.
Okay. It just would not go through to save my life.
Okay, well, it's good to see you, Mark.
Yes.
I watched your video earlier out in the snow when you found
Hold up. Let me put my other plug in here. All right. So Scott Linehan has left the building.
Yeah, apparently I was reading that it was a mutual decision. Do you think that's true?
You want to hear my opinion on that one?
Yes.
I got to tell you, that's a bunch of crap. Here's the thing. Jason Garrett went on Monday and basically said, we're good. Team did great. We made it to the playoffs. We won a game. My second playoff victory as a head coach over the last 8 years. Everything's good. We see everybody coming back. And then Stephen Jones went on and kind of said, wait a minute. Nobody should be satisfied with what we've done thus far. The fact that we're not winning Super Bowls, that's what it's about. So you don't go through on two separate occasions and say, we're good and everything else, and then 4 days later fire the guy. So that's a crock of crap.
Yeah, apparently when we lost the game, the other coaches, they were like, they held their hands up and took responsibility, but he didn't. He just strutted out of there like he'd done nothing wrong. Is that true?
Yeah, Jason Garrett usually throws other people under the bus, and it always, if you go back through and look at every press conference at the end of the year, they're all identical. I'm proud of my guys. We competed. They didn't give up the fight and things. We'll look at the film and we'll get back. And it's just like, oh, God, here we go again. Just the same kind of stuff. And I think Stephen Jones is now looking at Jason Garrett and thinking this might not be the guy. I actually think Jason Garrett is now on the hot seat.
Really?
That would be my opinion, because I think Stephen Jones has made it now his mission to get Jerry Jones another ring before, time's up. And I think everything is leaning towards doing everything possible to win that. And I think he's kind of looking at Jason Garrett side-eyed right now and saying, you know what, maybe this isn't the guy that we need to take us all the way. The fact that you were satisfied with just making it to the playoffs, to me, just does not seem like enough. But what do I know?
Do you think anyone else needs to go?
Kellen Moore, who's the quarterback coach, they're going to be bringing back. I don't think it's – Kellen Moore was basically ahead of Dak Prescott when Dak was drafted. Mm-hmm. And DMV, one of the other bloggers I work with, actually had the perfect analogy for that, because Dak Prescott beat him out. So if you were, say, a junior in high school, you have a senior in front of you, you end up playing better and taking his job. Then the next year he becomes your coach. What are you really going to learn from him?
It's true.
So that's the situation you have with a young guy who might end up being a great coach, but doesn't have a lot of experience. And I think that's where Dak Prescott's development is hurting, because you have a guy who does not have a lot of experience in coaching. And Scott Linehan with his offense, which everybody can look at and say is by the wayside, antiquated. When you see other teams, a lot of the stuff that they're doing with the run pass options, with them using a lot more motion, different pass routes and things, they're looking for advantages, where our offense is predicated on basically my guys beating your guys. And it's just not going to win all the time. And that's when you get to the playoffs, when you're playing the cream of the crop, that you have to perform. You've got to be ready to be hitting hard. You've got to be ready to knock somebody out. And you have to be able to surprise other teams. And if you can't surprise other teams, more chances than not, you just are not going to win.
Apparently, Alan Hearns is really happy about the decision. Did you hear that?
Oh, I think we may not really hear about the grand scope of how happy some players are, but immediately Dez Bryant, who was made the scapegoat last year, Dez Bryant, a great wide receiver who has gotten old and stuff, he basically went out and said, listen, it's not me. It's this offense that we're doing. He ended up posting a picture of Kermit the Frog sipping on some tea, basically, partying. And a lot of the players, they can't really come out and say, you know what, I hate this guy as my coach. I want somebody else. They're going to have to put their support behind him, at least in public, but, they're looking at it side-eyed. And the way you know that is, and don't let me overtalk too much in the things here. I have a tendency to talk and just kind of never stop and not let people get other words in edgewise.
It's fine, Mark. Carry on.
But Amari Cooper, who the Cowboys brought in, who literally saved their season. They brought him in middle of the season here and started working in. When we played against the Philadelphia Eagles, after that game, he had come out and he had said, listen, we were in the huddle with Dak. We were doing the same route where I was doing a stop route. And they said to Dak, I said, Dak, listen, They are sitting on the route. They know it's coming. We're doing the same thing, and it's not going to work. He's like, let's go ahead and do the go route where I just go deep. I can beat my man. We can do this. And Dak had said, no, man, we got to do what's called. And he's like, man, it's not going to work. So they finally get out there. They line up, and Dak basically gave them the signal to do the go route. They end up getting this 80-yard touchdown play, which ended up winning them the game. And, here it was. He's excited about, hey, look, I knew what we needed to do. That play that was called was garbage. And you could see the next week that the team kind of put the kibosh on him. You could see his whole mannerisms like he was like a beat dog.
So you think that was making it all too predictable, really?
Oh, without a doubt. And that's, if for no other reason, on fourth down, when we ended up going for it, we ran the same play that we have every single time on fourth down. And teams know what to expect. If you know what to expect, it gets really easy to deal with the situation. You get bored. Okay. It's coming. Okay. They're going to hand it off to Zeke. He's going to be coming between the guard and the center. We know how to stop it. But if you throw a curveball, if you fake that dive and you end up having Dak bootleg out, which is basically faking it to him and then carrying the ball on the outside, when they've got everybody in the middle, then the advantage goes to you. And that's one of those things that Scott Linehan just has not done as an offensive coordinator for the Cowboys.
But why not? Why on earth didn't he try it?
That is a very good question on why we continue to do the same thing, which is probably the reason why he is no longer with us, because we continue to do the same thing. And it's crazy because it's not that it's just been one person that said this. I mean, you had
on YouTube. They just show a tampon commercial.
Okay. Anyway, so they're showing tampon commercials on YouTube. Okay. Well, the audience is getting broader, son. Okay. There's not just men that are watching. Okay. Women watch and they have to see Viagra commercials all the time. I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry. Carrying on multiple conversations. But there's been so many players that have gone through and said basically the same thing. The offense is predictable. We don't do a whole lot of things, and it's just antiquated. This is the same offense that the Cowboys basically ran during the 90s when they won Super Bowls. But I always say, if you're not getting better, then you're getting worse, because other people are going to catch up to what you're doing. They're going to figure out what you do, and they're going to learn how to do it better. They're going to learn how to do it cheaper. And just like big companies that think, we're the great big company out there, we don't have to change. You become the dinosaur and you get left behind.
Yeah, from what I've seen so far, it's a game of tactics, and I think the tactics have to keep changing every single game.
Right. And that's what we did not do. We did not change very many things up on the season. You could look at this offense when Tony Romo was here 4 years ago running it. It's the exact same thing that we're doing now. But other teams now have evolved where they're doing a lot more jet sweeps. They're doing a lot more run pass options. So you're getting different looks, and it's working for them. That's why the Rams have become, from being basically in the garbage in 2015, have become one of the better teams in the NFL, because they've learned with a young coach who's come in with the attitude of, we're going to change things up. You're not going to know what we're going to do. You're not going to know where I'm going to hit you.
So basically, this is going to be a game changer. Next season, we're going all the way.
One of the most popular Dallas Cowboys bloggers, Scooter Magruder, is out there. He's already tweeted next year's Super Bowl. So I can guarantee you right now that the Dallas Cowboys players, Dak Prescott probably especially, and the wide receivers are ecstatic about this, because to me, the Cowboys were successful. I mean, don't get me wrong. We were in the playoffs. We ended up getting up off the mat and actually playing well down the stretch. But you look at some of these things that the Cowboys do. Basically, as you call ZK, did I get that right? ZK. Zeke, they're using him solely as a battering ram. And you can't continue to, his career is just going to be short-lived if he is constantly just running up the middle, hitting, big defensive linemen. They have to use getting him out in space where he's one-on-one battles and things like that. So that way he's able to prolong his career as well as to be able to make bigger and bigger plays. You can't just rely on 3, 4, 5 yards every time running the football.
That guy's just so cool. I've seen some clips with him walking down the street. He's hilarious. He really is in his suits. Have you seen?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is definitely a good thing that's happened. The question now will be is who do they end up getting as an offensive coordinator? And that's going to be what's interesting. So this is a great thing. You're new to the Dallas Cowboys. It's the off season, but there's always something happening with the Dallas Cowboys when you least expect it. So
this is
now will be this
exciting. This has given us a chance, and it's given us a hope for next season. So.
Definitely. So I'm excited about it, and I'm going to start looking at who the prospects are and try and figure out who it will be that they're bringing in. I'm hoping it'll be somebody who is a quarterback-friendly coach that will be able to kind of take Dak onto a whole nother level.
Yeah, tell us about your T-shirt, Mark.
I'm sorry?
Tell us about your T-shirt.
Oh, well, this is actually my new mantra here. The 3 R's, okay? It's not reading, writing, and arithmetic. It's actually respect, redemption, and revenge. And that should be the Dallas Cowboys motto where we got to start looking at earning some respect. Nobody respects the Dallas Cowboys. They always think that, you know what, they're just dysfunctional. They're an accident waiting to happen. If you want respect, you have to go out there and you have to punch somebody in the face, and you've got to make them respect you. Redemption, you know what, this team needs to be redeemed. I mean, it's just been that long since we have been in the Super Bowl, back since 1995. We as fans have supported this team with our dollars, with our attention and everything else, and we deserve to have some winning. And of course, revenge is sweet, getting back at everybody who thinks that you can't do it. And that's a dish that is definitely served best cold.
So if Scott Linehan was coming to you for some advice about what job to do next, what would you suggest?
What, Scott Linehan's job next?
Yeah.
Maybe a little league coach. But I'm not sure that too many want him as a little league coach.
You think this is going to end his career?
No, here's the thing about NFL coaches. They always seem to keep being retreads. This isn't anything new with Scott Linehan. Scott Linehan has actually been fired before. And for whatever reason, he still seems to keep getting job after job after job. He started out with the Minnesota Vikings, and he actually had a Hall of Fame wide receiver in Randy Moss, one of the best that there's ever been, and didn't quite do well with him. He went with the Rams, as a matter of fact, coming off of them being 2 Super Bowls, and kind of ran them into the ground. And then he went to the Detroit Lions and got let go there. And for some reason, the Cowboys said, that's the guy we need here. He's done great things. And he's just kind of continued along in the same path. But I guarantee you, he will be hired someplace else again.
So just reading the comments. Has anyone got any questions for Mark?
I finally was able to pull up the chat here. I always tell people that they tell me don't quit your day job. So it literally, I was getting ready to leave, and that's when I got the word that Scott Linehan was getting fired. And so I'm sitting here doing a quick live stream before I hit the road and stuff. And so now it's going through and trying to figure out what's going on and getting all the subtleties and everything else. And so I literally just got back in, got on here with you, and for whatever reason, just could not get the Hangouts going.
Yeah, I know. It took a while for us to get it. But you're here now. That's all that matters. I got a message earlier, and my parcel from Randell Cinnamon has arrived in the UK. I've got some Dallas Cowboys presents.
Oh, great.
Yeah, can't wait to open that. It'll be fun.
Well, make sure you open them on air.
Should I do that?
You should. That's whenever somebody sends me something, I always open on air, and hopefully one of these times it won't be a bomb or a snake or something.
And
Although it might go viral, you know. So with some of the haters that I have,
you will die famous.
well, we're glad that your voice is finally back and that you're back on YouTube. So what's next for you?
Yeah, my voice comes and goes, but I'm getting into some abstract artwork and going to be doing some ASMR book reading, whisper reading, and just I can't wait to catch up with everyone really. I've been the live chats, seeing how everyone is. So
That always works well. Everybody likes to go ahead and be able to interact directly with the person and stuff. That's why tonight I can't wait for my live stream tonight. It will be lively. It was great just sitting here with everybody, just so happy about Scott Linehan being fired. You know, you hate for somebody to lose a job and things, but it was time. He had been here since 2012 and had enough opportunities, had enough really good players to work with, and just could not get it done. And for me, as a Dallas Cowboy fan that literally lives with the Dallas Cowboys, they are first thing I do in the morning after I get my cup of coffee is talk about the Cowboys. Whenever any news breaks, I'm doing it no matter where I am at work or whatever. And before I go to bed at night, it's like the last thing I do is think about the Cowboys. For all the fans that are out there that are like me that really want to see this team succeed, when you look and you see the problems and say, why don't we try and do better? Why don't we try something else? After a while, a lot of fans just get tired of it. It's just like, I can't do this anymore. You know, you give all this love and attention and you hope and you pray that everything is going to be wonderful. But then you see the same thing over and over again. You know, you see Jason Garrett back another year. You see Scott Linehan, same offense. To see them go ahead and say, this is not good enough. This is what we have to do to get better. We're going to try and make this work and do something for you guys that all of a sudden it gives you hope. And it just says, wow, they do care. Maybe, just maybe, that this will be the right move. Doesn't always end up being the right move, but you at least see that they are trying to make it work. And that, as a Dallas fan, will make you feel incredible. You know, that's like, okay, we got this.
yeah, Alex Gomi says he joined the chat late. Who do you like for OC?
Right now, I'm just at the moment just happy that we got rid of him. I got to look around and see who's available. What it may end up happening is, because this is kind of like a deja vu moment to me, because a lot of times you can understand what's going to happen in the future by looking at what's happened in the past. And when you look at what happened with our defense, we had Monty Kiffin, who was brought in as our defensive coordinator, and he brought Rod Martinelli in. Well, the defense was horrendous. We were the worst defense, historically bad, in 2013. And they ended up basically moving him to a corner office, you know, kind of hidden from everybody else. And they promoted from within with Rod Martinelli, who's been building this defense since then to the defense it was this year. And I could see them taking the tight end coach, Nesbon, I can't pronounce his name right, but taking that tight end coach and promoting him possibly as the offensive coordinator. Or I honestly believe, this is going to be crazy, but I think that the Cowboys may try and get Sean Payton, who's the coach of the Saints right now. He actually ended up starting out under Bill Parcells with the Cowboys. He has a home that's in Dallas. He's under contract with New Orleans, but the Cowboys, I think, are at the point where they're going to try and do something really, really big. So don't be surprised to see a really big name.
Oh, David is saying, what do you think, Mark Todd? Oh, Todd Monken, sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing. I had a hard time hearing that last.
Can you look at the chat and see what David's saying?
Let me see. Okay. David, all from Tampa Bay. Yeah, I see. Let's see. Miami, Florida in the house.
Todd.
You know what? Well, Bill Callahan definitely wants to. I see Gregory's talking about Bill Callahan. I think actually the Cowboys made a mistake by letting Callahan go and keeping Scott Linehan. He definitely wants to get out of Washington along with everybody else because they are a dumpster fire. And he definitely took care of the Cowboys' offensive line. That wouldn't be a bad pick. Um, well, Todd wouldn't be a bad one either from Tampa Bay necessarily, because you can look at what they did with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense this past year. But I think they may be a little bit more too freewheeling with the football. And that's the thing that you got to look at. They had one of the top offenses in the NFL, but they also had a lot of turnovers, and turnovers are game changers, as we've definitely found out. And that's one of the things that you love about Dak is he does not turn the ball over.
Yeah, I may be being really stupid here because I don't know the rules yet, but can't the players have more of a say in things?
No.
Okay.
You'll have a few players that will have influence, like when you get to be like a Tony Romo and things, that you kind of can help because you've earned that respect. But generally speaking, you don't have that kind of authority in there. They'll listen to you to a point, but it's not going to be the inmates run the asylum, so to speak.
Yeah, it's a shame because they've probably got some good ideas and they know what they're doing. Thomas, sounds like I'm underwater with an echo. Oh, sorry. Has anyone else got that problem?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, and I thought it was just because it was coming through on my headphones and stuff, but it is a little bit gargled, at least through here. I'm not listening to it live, but here, let me see what it sounds like live.
What I'll do is I'll change to internal mic and see if that helps. Is that better?
Oh, it's actually not bad.
Is that any better?
It's not bad. I've had worse. Believe me, I've had a lot worse. Okay.
I can't see you now, Mark.
Yeah, because I moved the phone there. I was checking it. Okay, I'm back over here now. Can you see me now? There we go.
Yeah, I can see you now.
Okay. So the big question is who is going to be coming in, and I hope they make this decision sooner or later. I kind of also believe that Josh McDaniels may be on the radar as well from New England. Although I'm not sure if he wants to work in Dallas. He's been a head coach before, kind of ran Denver on the ground and then went back to New England, but has definitely a lot of experience as far as play calling and being an offensive coordinator.
It's going to be a lot of pressure, whoever takes the job.
Being a Dallas Cowboy, it always is. Todd Haley would not be a bad one either.
I've heard they nearly sacked Scott a few times before. Why do you think it's come down to it this time? Is it because so many people are mad that we didn't get further?
They talked about, they at least admitted earlier part of the season that they had thought about letting him go last offseason. They also considered letting him go during the bye week when they let go of Paul Alexander. But for whatever reason, they kept holding on to him. I think finally they realized it's just not going to get done with this. And it's not anything that's new. We've all said the same thing, that the offense has been predictable. The only saving grace for Scott Linehan was when he had Tony Romo. Tony Romo was good enough to overcome the play calling because he could roll out and buy time and be able to do things that most quarterbacks couldn't. But it was also to the detriment of himself because literally his body got broken down from taking all the hits and the abuses that he did playing for the system. So it was definitely time. The thing with the NFL is, generally speaking, if you don't win within 5 years, you won't. And usually you're fired within that time. Jason Garrett, for whatever reason, is still here. And this will be his ninth season at head coach, and is the longest tenured coach without winning a Super Bowl. So let that sink in.
Oh my word! So is there like a set contract length that they have? Did they have to break a contract to fire him at this point?
Oh no. Well, see, here's the thing. With NFL contract, usually they'll give you like a 5-year contract. We've seen coaches fired after 1 year. Give you an example. The Cardinals coach fired this year after being there only 1 year. Jason Garrett's contract is actually up next year, but you never have a coach go into the last year of his contract because then they're a lame duck, as in nobody's really going to listen to him. The team doesn't believe in giving him another year. He's probably not going to be here, and they tune out. So right now, the Cowboys are at a crossroad. Either they extend him a year or two, or you fire him. It's really no in between. And I think with Stephen Jones is having that thought right now. Can we do better than what we have right now?
So are we expecting any more announcements, do you think, anytime soon? Is this the time, straight after the season ends for us, that all the decisions get made?
Well, here's the thing. Last year with Des Bryant, see, the Cowboys don't do things like typical teams. They're America's team. You understand? They're America's team, as Jerry Jones would say. They had Des Bryant, who, like I was talking about earlier, they should have let him go beginning of the league year, at beginning of free agency, given him an opportunity to get on with another team. But they prolonged it. They let him just stay hanging on forever and finally let him go after really it was too late for him to get on with another team. And I could see them doing the same thing with Jason Garrett, waiting and seeing, is there going to be somebody after the Super Bowl that we might think is going to be a better coach? And we've seen other teams do this. Denver, Mike Fox went to the Super Bowl. They fired him the next year because they didn't win. They end up bringing in Kubiak. He ends up taking him to the Super Bowl 2 years later. They win one. So it's not that teams haven't done this in the past. And you see teams immediately. The Rams, like I said, are another one that had a, coach Mike Fisher who had been around forever, turn around and fire him. And you bring in a young coach, Sean McVay, who takes the same team and from 4-12 and makes them 12-4.
Yeah, but was Scott's contract nearly up or not?
What, Scott Linehan's?
Yeah.
Not sure. I think he still had another year left on it, but
So they continue to pay him for another year after?
Oh, well, they'll either get a buyout on it or then they're still under contract. A lot of coaches are getting fired and still getting paid their whole contract. That just kind of goes without saying. But, Jerry Jones spent $250 million on a boat. Do you think a couple $1 million to a coach is worth worrying about?
He spent how much?
$250 million for his yacht. It's 360 feet long.
My word. I get seasick, so I'm not jealous.
Yeah, that's a big boat.
Okay, so how are you going to be celebrating tonight? Are you really happy about this?
I'm hopeful about this. Now, the question will be is what do they do with it? Definitely happy that we're going to start looking at somebody else because we all know that my channel is very Dak Prescott friendly. And, even though the first part of the season, everybody said he stinks, he sucks, he regressed, he needs to be out of here and stuff, I still stuck with him and kept trying to point out to people a lot of the problem is what he's being taught and what he's being forced to do. They're not looking at the strengths that Dak Prescott has. They have basically a set system. And it's like you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, as opposed to looking at saying, okay, I got a guy that does this real well. How can I use that talent? Instead, they're like, no, you have to do this. And I don't care how bad you are. This is the only thing that we're going to do. So I'm hopeful that they get somebody who is used to working with younger players and can relate with them. You look at Chris Richard on our defensive end. He can relate to younger people and get them motivated where they will literally do anything that he asks them to do. They will literally run through a brick wall for him. And you could see the energy. And that's where, I hate to keep saying, Sean McVay with the Rams, that's where he is. He's one of the youngest coaches in the NFL, but the players can relate to him, his energy level, his ideas, and thinking outside the box. Jared Goff was a quarterback who most people said is a bust, but he took that guy, found out what he does well, used those talents, and made him actually a really good quarterback.
Yeah, and Dak's better when they keep him moving, but they weren't making the most of him, were they?
No, they started doing more and more stuff, and they having, of course, Amari Cooper helped, and time. Unfortunately, with Cowboy fans, we're not very patient people. They immediately want everybody and everything to be perfect right now and expect to win the Super Bowl every year, and it's a pressure cooker. There is no margin for error when it comes to a lot of the Cowboy fans.
Oh, of course not. We've been waiting. The fans have been waiting for so many years. From what I've read in the comments, we've been waiting so long. I've been waiting a couple of weeks. So for me, it was just so exciting to see them in the playoffs. That was it was a dream for me as a new fan. but for people that have been following the Cowboys all their lives, yeah.
Well, here's what you have to look at that'll make you hopeful is because I equate this team a lot to the team in the 90s, and I know a lot of people will say I'm crazy. But this is a young squad. It's a very young squad, one of the youngest teams in the NFL. There's no starter on this team that's over 30 years of age. And they're
Really?
all,
Wow.
yes, really. I mean, you've got Sean Lee as one of the oldest players on the team, 31. LP, our snapper, he's like 37, special teamer. But other than that, this is actually a young team. So you're going to look at them for 2, 3, 4 years, having a great window and opportunity to challenge for a Super Bowl. And that's ideally what you want to do is you want to get a group of guys young so they can learn how to play and interact with each other. So, they can zig when one's zagging, so that way they're the yin and the yang. And that's one of those things with time, getting to know a person, getting to know their tendencies where you can just kind of look over like that, make a quick glance, and they know exactly what you mean and what you're doing. Yeah, because a lot of times, especially on the offensive line, there's a lot of nuances that you end up learning. But sometimes it can be just like a slap on the leg where okay, we're going to move this play over a hole because I see something. And you know that what I'm thinking and know how to react. And all of a sudden, boom, you've got a big play. But when you have a whole lot of transition, when you have a whole lot of new players that are coming in and a whole lot of turnaround, you don't get that reaction. And it ends up being harder to succeed.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I was watching some videos the other day, and apparently there are some new players that hardly even say a word to each other. I think it's going to make a lot of difference when they start gelling together and opening up a bit.
Exactly. And that's where the Cowboys now have this group of guys that now basically are all drafted around the same time. And the good thing with the Cowboys is typically when you started out like the season did for us, 3-5, it looked like this team was just ready to be imploded. In fact, Troy Aikman basically said, we need to start all over with this team and tear it up. The system's just broken. They didn't lose it. They didn't lose confidence. They didn't lose belief in their teammates, and they turned it around. So having that belief and that belief in basically like a family atmosphere bodes well for these guys staying together.
Oh, exactly. And especially because they're so young, they've got such a future, haven't they?
Mm-hmm. Hopefully they do. But, with football, you're always one play away from being retired.
That's not good.
No, I mean, if you saw what happened with Alan Hearns, where literally his leg got ripped off, I mean, every player, football is not like any other sport. Football is a very, very violent sport.
Apparently, he's going to be back on his feet and ready to play by June. Is that not right?
By August, possibly, yes.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, it was a clean break of both bones, if that sounds better. That literally it just snapped. So, yeah, they just put it right back together. But it's amazing what these guys do. Antoine Woods, our defensive tackle, actually tore his labrum and played 3/4 of the game with it torn. He had surgery the night before last to repair it. And when you start hearing some of the stories about what some of these guys do, playing literally with broken bones. I mean, Tony Romo fractured a bone in his back in the second quarter and then tried to come back and play that same game. It's just unbelievable.
Wow. They're not real men. They're beasts, aren't they?
You actually have to have that mentality that you're invincible and that you will deal with a lot of pain playing football. It's not for the faint at heart, not at all.
No, not like British football.
Yeah, soccer. You got to have it. I'll give him this much. You have to definitely have a lot of endurance because you are literally running around for an hour straight.
Yeah, no pads.
Yeah, and no pads. Yeah, those turf burns are terrible.
Look on YouTube at the horrific injuries that soccer players suffer. It's a lot worse than football players.
Okay, so Michael's saying there's a lot of horrific injuries from soccer players. Or are they like hangnails?
No, like legs. I've seen legs. I thought Alan Hearns was nasty. Look at some of the football players. I mean, the soccer players.
All right, so Michael was saying that actually soccer players are a little tougher than we give them credit for.
Really?
No, they wear no.
Yeah, he said if you actually look at some of the videos, there are some horrific injuries that happen to soccer players. So let me run and watch some soccer.
Oh, yeah, that's fair enough. But I think a lot of them do fall over. If someone rushes past them, they'll fall over and pretend they've been, you know, injured when they haven't. I think that's what I'm saying.
All right. So everybody, I hope everybody is subbing to Katie Calls It here and hitting the bell so that way you get notified when she goes on live. And if you want to learn any more about football, American football, that is, if we got a bunch of British fans that are here, I do live streams at 9 o'clock Eastern Coast time on Mondays and Fridays, and of course any updates on the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, so you're going to be live in a few hours later this evening.
In 5 hours, we will be on live, and we will be happy. Happy talking about who will be hopefully replacing Scott Linehan and just kind of breathing a sigh of relief. I feel like the clouds have parted and the sun is now out. You know, I can see the blue sky right now for the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, yeah, after being so deflated, it's nice to have some excitement and something to look forward to.
Definitely, because it was bad enough Monday morning that the Cowboys had lost and they were out of the playoffs. I had dreamed about them going to the Super Bowl because I was like, I'll be at the Super Bowl. It would be great to be able to cover the Dallas Cowboys at one. And it was deflating. But then to hear Jason Garrett go on Monday first thing and talk about how we're not changing, I was like, oh, man, this is another punch to the gut. It's bad enough that we lost, but we're going to keep this bum. So it's actually a great Friday.
Yeah, so is Michael happy because he was hoping someone was going to get the axe? How does he feel about it?
He is actually he was actually on strike and was not going to wear Dallas Cowboy gear until he was fired. So he's got a lot of Dallas Cowboy stuff that he will now start wearing. And the other good thing, too, is it seems like Scott Linehan had his kind of guys. And there were players like Rico Gathers that Michael absolutely adores, tight end, that were always in his doghouse that they just wouldn't use. Right? Yeah, okay. And hopefully those guys will have an opportunity to be able to. Oh, okay. All right. But definitely check out Michael Anthony's page. He has an interesting theory.
Get him to say hello to everyone.
Well, well, he's out the door. He's got to go handle some business and stuff at his work. He's got to handle some work and stuff. But he's got an interesting theory that I actually would love to go out there with. But it's kind of a thing that I was like, wow, that would be really cool. So look for that on his channel coming up. Midnight. Oh, midnight. Oh, okay. It'll be midnight.
Midnight. Okay. If you type his channel name into the chat, then people can click on there and subscribe.
Sure. Let me pull that up.
Hey, everyone in the comments. Sorry if I've missed you. I've been so busy chatting. But I'm well again now, and I'll be back live streaming regularly throughout the week. So I'll be able to catch up with you all.
Bam. Michael Anthony Fitness. There you go.
Put it in. That's awesome. Thanks, Mark. All right. So I'll let you go and do your research. Get ready for the stream later.
Okay, well, I'm happy that you are back on and that you do have a voice. We were worried and concerned. Everybody kept asking me on my live stream, where's Katie? Where's Katie? And I said, over in England, sick right now. So, Victor, you want to be a carpenter. Well, I tell you what, it's not always easy. Yesterday was actually kind of crazy because usually I only show the good stuff, and by accident, we hit a pipe and we had a flood, and I thought I had cut off the camera, and unfortunately the camera with the voice activation came back on, so it ended up being the wrong clip that I uploaded. So, but yeah, it's interesting to say the least.
To say the least, I was going to say that. Yeah. All
right,
so check out Mark's channel. He's so much fun, and he uploads at least twice a day. Incredible.
It's at least twice a day on each channel. Okay. Yeah. It's the Cowboy. It's not me. It's not that I want to be here. It's just I got to bring everybody the news on the Cowboys. And there's always stuff happening with the Cowboys. All right.
You love it.
Okay. So if you need anything else from about the Cowboys or anything, just give me a holler and I will come and run it.
go over to Mark. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks so much for joining. I'm going to cut the stream now and catch up with people tomorrow night.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.